Welcome to the Sports Bash pre-show presented by the Tap Room located at 44 East Main Street in Bayshore. Good morning, everyone. I'm Peter Schwartz. That guy to my right is WizKid Vinny Laspinuso because Vinny Tickets has the day off on this Friday. Coming up on the show, we'll be joined by former Giant center SHAUN O'Hara, and we'll also be joined by New York ADLER defenseman and Long Island native Gavin Adler with the PLL semifinals coming to Hofstra here on Long Island tomorrow. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Doing good, Peter.
No Falcons hat today, but you are primed and ready for week one on Sunday.
I'm excited for the season. Granted, I'm cautiously optimistic, but
as a Jet fan, I'm cautiously optimistic too. So.
Well, the difference is that the Jets are still got the attention in over here.
Yeah.
No, Atlanta's not very well respected in up here.
I can understand that. It's time for the Sports Bash Flash. It's brought to you by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, where every customer is considered family. Embassy Diner located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Mention Sports Bash, get a free dessert with your meal. NFL season underway last night with the Chiefs beating the Ravens 27-20. How about that ending by a toe? By a toe, the Ravens did not tie that game. If only that guy's toe was just a little bit smaller and that cleat size was a little bit smaller, the Ravens might have tied that game and sent it into overtime.
Game of millimeters.
Tonight in Brazil, the Eagles take on the Packers. Full house of 50,000 expected for that. Yankees and Mets were both off yesterday. This afternoon, Yankees and Cubs at Wrigley. Tonight, the Mets and Reds at Citi Field. Last night, WNBA, the Liberty beat Seattle 77-70 at Barclays Center. Had the opportunity to go to that game with my son Jared last night. What a festive atmosphere. It's the first time I've seen a Liberty game since they moved to Barclays Center. I was at the UBS Arena game earlier this season, but last night, of the available seating, and for not every, for most games, they sell the whole lower bowl and part of the upper level. It was packed in there last night. A great performance by the Liberty as they streak towards the playoffs.
How's Barclays compared to UBS for the Liberty?
It's better for basketball because it was built for basketball. A UBS Arena is good for basketball, but not all of their fans showed up for that UBS Arena game. But last night, boy, it was in between, during commercial breaks, everything was lively. So many things to interact with the fans. It was just phenomenal. A great time last night at Barclays Center. It's time for the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. We post a new poll question every weekday on the Sports Bash Media X/Twitter page. Let's look at Thursday's question first. How far will the Liberty, speak of the Devils, not the Devils, but the Liberty, speak of the Liberty, how far will they go this season? Well, 69% feel that they will win the WNBA championship. 15% says they'll get to the WNBA finals again, and 15% say they will reach the Eastern Conference final. Nobody thought they'll get upset in the first round.
Yeah, I can't see them getting out in the first round either. They're probably going to get the Chicago Sky, and no offense to the Sky, but come on, the New York Liberty, they were in the finals last year. They've been to, 4 or 5 finals over the years. It's time for them to finally get a championship now.
Yeah, I would love to see it, especially after being part of that atmosphere there last night. Now, today's question, where will the Mets finish? They're tied with Atlanta for the third spot. So where will the Mets finish the season? Third wild card, second wild card, the first wild card. They're only 3 games out of that. We're out of the playoffs. I think the Mets are a playoff team. I think they will get the second wild card spot.
I think I'm going to proceed on the side of caution because the Padres and D-backs are still pretty good. I'm going to say they'll just edge into the third wild card and face against the Milwaukee Brewers in the wild card round.
And we'll see what happens after that. But I do think the Mets, and they've won with 7 in a row now as they get ready for the Reds tonight at Citi Field. Now, this day in sports history.
Well, on this day in 1995, Cal Ripken Jr. of the Baltimore Orioles overtook Lou Gehrig's all-time consecutive game streak with his 2031st. His record at the very end was a whopping 2,632 consecutive games, and I think it's pretty safe to say no one's touching that.
No, I don't think so. I really liked how the Orioles did it that year when he was approaching the record. They had those big numbers on top of the warehouse there at Camden Yards, and every time the game was official where it flipped the 5th inning, they would flip the next number, and they did it that night. And of course, just storybook, he homered in that game. In the game in which he broke Lou Gehrig's record, he hit a home run in that game. So that was an amazing streak by an amazing baseball player.
Absolutely.
So that's this day in sports history. Coming up on the show, this may be one of the biggest shows in the history of Sports Bash. We've got two big guests. We're going to talk to former Giants center SHAUN O'Hara, now does some broadcasting work, and he's going to be involved in a big charity outing tomorrow at MetLife Stadium. That is coming up on the show. Also, later on in the program, Gavin Adler from the Premier Lacrosse League's New York Atlas. The PLL semifinals are at Hofstra tomorrow. And we're also going to give away 4 tickets for that tomorrow. 4 tickets for the PLL semifinals coming up when we have Gavin Adler on the show a little bit later on. We're going to welcome in our radio audience in just a moment. It's Sports Bash presented by TicketBash.com.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com, where you'll never pay a service fee. Sports Bash is also brought to you by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike, where every customer is considered family. Mention Sports Bash, get a free dessert with your meal. By the offices of Dr. Anthony Ippolito at Chiropractic Care Plus, located at 1 John Street in Babylon. Chiropractic Care Plus is the only choice when searching for Long Island chiropractors. Give Dr. Ippolito a call at 631-669-6221. By Bearcat Billing Service, your trusted partner in medical billing. Experience the Bearcat way, personal, professional, and tailored to your needs. Give Gary a call at 516-796-2400 and tell him Sports Bash sent you by the Marty Lyons Foundation, the official charity of Sports Bash Media. For more information, go to martylyonsfoundation.org. And by Collaborate Studios, a content marketing production facility. For more info, call them at 516-509-8277. Good morning, everyone. I'm Peter Schwartz. Later on in the show, we'll be joined by Premier Lacrosse League defenseman and Long Island native Gavin Adler, who plays for the New York Atlas. The Premier Lacrosse League semifinals take place tomorrow at Hofstra Stadium here on Long Island. But first, want to welcome in our first guest of the show, a former Giants center, now a broadcaster, an esteemed member of the Giants alumni, and a member of the Giants' top 100 players of all time as Big Blue gets ready for their 100th season of playing football. And he's going to be involved in a great event tomorrow at MetLife Stadium, the Giants Foundation NY 5K. We welcome to the program former Giants center SHAUN O'Hara. SHAUN, it's Peter. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Peter. Top of the morning to you. And wow, what a lovely introduction right there. I don't think I've had anybody say so many nice things about me.
Well,
you must not know me.
Well, no, we have met because I have covered Giant games in the past for a number of outlets, and we've actually had that chat because my older son, Bradley, who is now a long snapper at Western Connecticut State, came up as a center through the years. And I know we had a couple of chats about that in the Giant locker room. So when it comes to guys who were a center, I'm always nice to them, and I always try to work harder to get that better introduction.
Yeah, I do remember you talking about Bradley, and that's awesome. He's playing center, so I appreciate all the lies when you talk about me in a nice way. I appreciate it. There was sarcasm in that font.
No, there was no sarcasm whatsoever. But that was funny. Let's start with the run tomorrow, the Giants 5K for the Giants Foundation, and it's a great initiative the Giants have, tackling important community issues, improving overall health, empowering youth, and it's a great event tomorrow that you're going to be part of at the Meadowlands at MetLife Stadium with that run. Tell us a little bit about it and how excited you are to interact with some Giant fans of all ages tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow's going to be fun. A pretty nice little Saturday, if you will. It's a 5K, obviously, for the adults, and there's also a kids run, which is a much shorter track. So, of course, the idea is, listen, let's get outside, let's get outdoors, let's get the kids active. And, of course, childhood obesity is a big problem in our country. So this is kind of one of those things that we're trying to make it fun to exercise, and we want kids to think that running is fun, and we want them to get them involved and get them outside. Plus, it's at the stadium, so they're going to get to finish the run in the end zone like they're scoring a touchdown. So that's going to be a thrill, I think, for a lot of fans, for a lot of families, and there's going to be some serious runners too. People are going to be out there trying to win and using this as kind of a stepping stone to maybe a bigger race. So it's going to be a great day, and the Giants have partnered with Quest to put this day on. So I drew the short straw, and so now I have to run in it. I was showing up, kissing babies and signing autographs, but they're like, no, you got to run. So yeah, I've been stretching, doing hot yoga, and trying to get ready so I don't fall out. But it's going to be a fun day. It looks like, we should have some pretty decent weather. And pretty much for every participant, they're going to get a T-shirt. There's going to be some Giants legends there, along with the G-line, drum line. So it'll be a lot of fun. And I think there's even a locker room tour and a tour of the stadium. So it'll be a fun Saturday. It'll be really fun for all the people when they cross the finish line. And my goal is to do it in under 30 minutes. I think it's 3.2 miles, so I think I can handle that.
Yeah, I think you could pretty much a former NFL center, Super Bowl champion, a Pro Bowler. I think you can make it around the whole complex, right?
Yeah, I mean it's like 3.2 miles. So,
okay,
just one mile at a time, and then we'll be home free.
Well, there you go. And you're not going to pull a Rosie Ruiz at the marathon and hop on a shuttle bus or anything like that.
No, I won't be doing that.
Okay,
I'm used to carrying other people. I'm not used to being carried.
That is true. And the one thing that really sticks out to me about the Giants Foundation is the line where it says empowering youth. And you mentioned it before about you want to get the kids out, you want to get them active, you want to get them off the couch, away from playing the Xbox and things like that. But I think also events like this and what the Giants are doing, not just for being active, but also just to get kids. Just to give them something to do each day, and mental health is so important for players as well. And I know that's something that the Giants are very focused on with events like this as well.
100%, and mental health is directly linked to physical health. Look, when you work out, when you exercise, you feel better, and it helps your mental health. So they go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. So it's absolutely an opportunity to get kids out, get kids active. Look, football for young kids, there's an alternative to tackle football right now with flag football. So there will be a lot of flag football activities, and the idea with that is just getting kids involved in the game, grow the love of football, but grow the love of sports activity, fitness, and make it a lifestyle. It's not just an activity, and I think that's really the big push for the Giants, and they've always done a great job with their events, and it's always fun to see the young kids. And look, for Giants fans, we want to continue to grow the fan base too, and we want these young fans to be Giants fans. And it's even harder now. I tell you, I don't have to tell you, fantasy football has changed things.
Oh yeah,
the kids in New Jersey are wearing Mahomes jerseys, jerseys of other teams. They've never even seen these people play live. They just see them on TV and they have them on their fantasy team. So it's definitely a challenge to make sure that we have fans of the team, not just of the players.
No question. We're talking to former Giants center SHAUN O'Hara here on Sports Bash. The Giants and their foundation having a 5K run at MetLife Stadium on Saturday. You can still register for that. It's open for all ages. And of course, at MetLife Stadium on Sunday will be the Giants season opener, their 100th season opener in franchise history as they take on the Vikings. You've seen this team play throughout training camp, throughout the preseason. How excited are you for the start of the Giants season, and what are your expectations for Big Blue?
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how this offense can produce. Last year that was really, the Achilles heel of the team. No, they could not score points. I mean, I think they averaged 15 points a game last year. It was one of the worst scoring offenses in the league. So that to me is what has to be the biggest change. They have looked really solid in all the joint practices that I saw, in what I saw in regular practice, and even some spurts in the preseason. Look, the preseason doesn't count, but it does matter, and so I don't look at things and say, give me statistics and who did what, who scored on all there. But I look at the production, the joint practices. I thought the Giants more than held their own against the Detroit Lions, who were the NFC North champions. They beat the Kansas City Chiefs on opening week last year, and they made the playoffs. So that was a very physical team. That was a great litmus test. I thought both the offensive and defensive lines held up really well against that front. So that's good news. Obviously, all eyes are on Daniel Jones as he's coming back from the ACL knee injury. This will be his first game action since November of last year. So I think there's going to be some rust for everybody, for all veterans. You kind of saw the game, last night between Baltimore and Kansas City. There's a little bit of rust factor, some missed throws, some drop balls, there's some rust there. But this Giants offense, I think with Malik Neighbors, is going to be more explosive with Neighbors and Hyatt than we've seen in a long time. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. And listen, I'm excited to see Dable calling the plays. I think that's a big part of this season. His relationship with the quarterback has grown so much because of the time that he's spending with DJ in working on the plays and talking to him in his ear. I think that's going to help Daniel out a lot, just having kind of a couple little words here and there from Dable, before and after every single play. So I think it's going to be great, and I can't wait to see this new Giants defense. Shane Bowen's got these guys all spooled up. The new defensive coordinator for the Giants, Brian Burns, is legit. He is the real deal, and I tell you, the Vikings have two good tackles in Christian Darrisaw and Brian O'Neill. So provided they both play, that'll be a great battle to watch.
And let me close with this, Sean. You came out number 65 on the Giants' all-time 100 best players. What did it mean to you to be on that list?
I'm very honored to be even associated with that group, with the Giants. It means a lot, and I look at it like that was a unit goal. My entire offensive line from 2007, 2008, 2009, we all got in the top 100, and I think that is the most special part, that we got in together.
Awesome. Sean, thank you so much for a few minutes. Good luck with the Giants Foundation 5K run tomorrow, and see you at MetLife Stadium during the season.
All right, thanks, Peter. Say hi to Bradley.
I will. Thanks so much. Former Giants center Shaun O'Hara, my first guest on the show. We thank him for a few minutes. Lots more Sports Bash coming up right after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Peter Schwartz and WizKid Vinny back during our commercial break. Again, big thanks to former Giants center Shaun O'Hara for joining us to talk about the Giants Foundation 5K run tomorrow at the Meadowlands. And, of course, the Giants start on Sunday at MetLife Stadium against the Vikings. And you're yapping in my ear during the break about how excited you are for this game in Brazil tonight between the Packers and the Eagles. First of all, again, I do not have Peacock. I am not going to subscribe to Peacock just for the sake of watching this game tonight. You know how I feel about these international games. I heard Roger Goodell, the commissioner, on the Today Show this morning talk about how they want to play more games overseas. We want to share our game with the rest of the world. Well, when will the rest of the world share their real games with us? And when that happens, I'll have the same smile on my face that you have right now.
Well, I'm going to have a very big smile today, and I'm very excited for next year, too, because they're going from 5 games to 9 games next year. So if you hate them, you're going to
know what?
more.
We could just send you packing. We can get you a suitcase, and we can send you to all these Fakakta games. And, if you want to travel the world and see the other countries' takeaway games, you can do that. We're coming right back right now. Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com, where you'll never pay a service fee. I'm Peter Schwartz. Once again, thanks to our first guest on the show, former Giants center Shaun O'Hara, who joined us in the first segment. Coming up tomorrow at Hofstra University, it's the Premier Lacrosse League semifinals. First up at 5 o'clock, it's the New York Atlas against the Maryland Whipstakes, and at 7:30, it's the Utah Archers against the Carolina Chaos. On the line with us right now is an outstanding defenseman for the New York Atlas and a Long Island native, the pride of Hewlett, New York, here on Long Island. We welcome to the show Gavin Adler. Gavin, it's Peter. How are you?
Hey, Peter. Thanks for having me on. very excited to be a part of the show.
Oh, thanks a lot for joining us, and congratulations to you and the Atlas for getting to this point, the best team throughout the regular season, and you are here now in the semifinals and getting ready to play Maryland tomorrow. First for you is, as a Long Island native, I mean, anybody who's from Long Island, we know how big lacrosse has historically been on Long Island. So for you to be here with your New York Atlas playing at home on Long Island, what's it going to be like for you tomorrow at Hofstra?
Yeah, it means a lot in the grand scheme of things. I can't lose focus over it, and I got to look at it like any other game. But, it does hit home, and I grew up on Long Island. I grew up playing club lacrosse, and I've heard, a lot of people from my hometown, a lot of these club lacrosse programs are all gathering and coming out to support the Atlas. I'm very excited about it, but, at the same time, the PLL has done exceptionally well all year, and every venue has been, pretty packed, and I just kind of got to look at it like any other game, but, I'm very excited about it at the end of the day, though.
Absolutely. And let's pack Hofstra a little bit more right now. We're going to give away 4 tickets to the Premier Lacrosse League semifinals tomorrow at Hofstra. We'll take the first phone caller right now at 631-451-1039, and you and 3 guests will go. That's 4 tickets for the PLL semifinals tomorrow. You will play Maryland, the Maryland Whipsnakes, at 5 o'clock in the first semifinal tomorrow. During the regular season, you play them twice. You split. You won 17-13. You lost 16-12. And obviously, this is the rubber game, and everything is on the line here. A chance to go to the championship game next week. What do you expect from them? What kind of game will it be?
Yeah, they're a great team. They've adjusted from early on. I think they're a different team from when we saw them week 1, and they're a different team from when we saw them in week 4. They're well-rounded. They've got great guys on offense, great guys on defense, and so do we. I think it's going to be a very competitive game, back and forth until the end, and I think it's just going to come down to who wants it more. And I think, being on Long Island, having the New York Atlas as our home market, I think it's going to push us towards, the end, and all that momentum we can use from the crowd is going to be a major advantage, and we're looking forward to it.
There's been a new twist in the PLL this year, because for the first few years, you guys the team names were just the team names. And now this year you were assigned geographic areas. The Atlas became the New York Atlas. But your home weekend was in Albany earlier in the season. And I think that ruffled some feathers in the Long Island lacrosse community, because a lot of people out here feel that the PLL, and I know eventually the league wants to get to the traditional home and away schedule. How confident are you, and maybe you've heard something, maybe you haven't, but how confident are you that somewhere down the road, when they do get to that home and away schedule, that the Atlas, or maybe there's another team that will eventually call Long Island home?
I'm confident in it. Albany was a great venue, and since the transition to home markets, we were ecstatic about being New York, and I'm not sure anything's set in stone yet. Maybe there's other games added to the schedule in New York. New York's a giant place. I grew up a huge Giant fan, and it takes me about an hour and a half, 2 hours to get to East Rutherford to watch the Giants play. So I think you can say that about, placing the team anywhere. I think fans are going to have to commute to get to the stadium, whether that's Long Island, Albany, or Albany to Long Island, or, upstate New York to get to Long Island. Just trying to find that neutral spot for everybody. But I'm confident that there'll be games added to the schedule in the near future that are in different spots in New York that gives the fans that experience, that it's not a crazy travel for them. But, at the end of the day, I think Albany right now is a great spot for us. It's a great venue for training camp, and I wouldn't be surprised if, something shifted in the future. But, having the playoffs usually at Hofstra, that's a great opportunity for all of our Long Island fans to come out there. So just really excited for tomorrow. But I think there's a lot of potential in the near future about, a few more games coming to Long Island.
We're talking to New York Atlas defenseman Gavin Adler here on Sports Bash. The Atlas take on Maryland Whipsnakes tomorrow in the PLL semifinals at Hofstra. That game is at 5 o'clock, and then at 7:30 it's Utah against Carolina. You just mentioned in that answer that you're a big Giants fan. I'm sure you heard in the first segment we had former Giants center Sean O'Hara on the show. Let me get your thoughts on the Giants. How do you think they're going to do? Are you excited for the opener on Sunday?
Yeah, I'm pumped for it, honestly. It's a big year for them. Daniel Jones coming off that injury and, all the controversy around the draft and the contract. I think they're in a good spot. I'm very confident in their, front office, starting with Joe Shane and down to their coaches with Dable. I love those guys, and I've got all the faith in the world in them. You look what they've came into. They kind of inherited a roster that, maybe they didn't build themselves, and they're kind of tinkering with it and, making it what they want it to be. And you kind of see those moves going forward. And I've got a lot of confidence in them. I think they're going to surprise some people. And, I'm confident Daniel Jones is going to come back and be the player we want him to be.
Mm-hmm.
And, you just got to see from there, go out and play the games and win. All the preseason speculation doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
So
let me close with this, Gavin. As your Atlas gets set for the semifinals tomorrow, you have on your team one of the biggest weapons that's in the game of lacrosse right now, and that is Trevor Baptiste, your Fogo, your face-off specialist. And it's so important to have a guy like him to give you those extra possessions, especially in a tight game. What's it like playing with a guy like Trevor Baptiste, knowing that if the game is tied late in the fourth quarter or if it's a one-goal game, that you have a great chance of getting the possession on the ensuing face-off?
Yeah, it's an incredible feeling having Trevor on our side. To start with him being such a great teammate with all the success he's had, it's been great being around him. He's a captain. He's such a great leader. But, on the field, we got all the confidence in the world that he's going to win every faceoff. And he's so tough on ground balls. He's so great on the clamp. But Maryland has, probably the other best faceoff guy in the league. So that's going to be a best-on-best battle. And it's a matchup I think a lot of people are looking forward to tomorrow.
Gavin, thank you so much for a few minutes on the show. Good luck to the Atlas tomorrow in the Premier Lacrosse League semifinals, and hope to see you out at the game tomorrow.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Gavin Adler of the New York Atlas, and the Maryland Whipsnakes tomorrow in the Premier Lacrosse League semifinals at Hofstra as we begin to wind down on this edition of Sports Bash presented by TicketBash.com. WizKid Vinny is back with us. I want to tell everybody about a big guest that we've got on the show next week, and I know you're excited about this. We are going to be joined by former Mets and Twins pitcher Frank Viola, who is now the pitching coach for the High Point Rockers of the Atlantic League. They're going to be in town to play the Long Island Ducks. So Frank Viola, the pride of my alma mater, East Meadow High School here on Long Island, we're going to have him on the show on Tuesday.
World Series MVP. Fantastic news to hear.
And remember, when he played for the Twins in the World Series, 1987, he had to miss his brother's wedding to pitch in the World Series. And I'm sure there was some tense moments when that happened, but I remember reading stories about how his brother said, "You got a chance to pitch in the World Series, man. Go ahead. What are you thinking about?" So we'll bring that up to him if it's still talked about in the Viola family.
I'm sure it is.
I got to think so. That's coming up on a Tuesday show. In the meantime, we will be back on Monday with another great program, another great edition of Sports Bash presented by TicketBash.com. We'll recap what the Giants do on Sunday against the Vikings. We'll preview the Jets and the 49ers on Monday night. We'll also talk about what the Mets and the Yankees do over the weekend. The Yankees with a series in Chicago at Wrigley Field against the Cubs, and the Mets taking on the Reds at Citi Field. Obviously, pennant race baseball for both teams this weekend. So thanks again to my guests, Sean O'Hara and Gavin Adler. For my buddy here, WizKid Vinny, I'm Peter Schwartz. For our entire staff, thanks for watching and listening.